In the last class, we asked a lot of questions about the Yom Tov Tubav. 5 things happened on Tubav. The dead in the desert stopped. The people in the desert stopped dying. The decree ended in the desert. The dead of Haruk of Beitor were allowed to be buried. The 2 decrees prohibiting marriage, intermarrying, as it were, between Shevet Binyamin and other tribes, and between the tribes themselves, were lifted. And finally, the roadblocks that Yerovam ben Nevat had put up to Shalim were removed. Right, and because of these 5 events, Chazal tell us that Tubav is one, together with Yom Kippur, is one of the most joyous Yomim Tovim of the whole Jewish calendar. And we asked, Pesach, we understand Pesach, Yitzias Mitzrayim, Li Mitzrayim, Shavuos, Kabbalah Satira, Sukkot, Anani Yakavad. But why is Tubav counted amongst the most joyous and important Yom Tov of the Jewish calendar? What's Tutzoch Dorden? What's going on here that we give so much importance to Tubav? And I believe the answer is as follows. If we look a little bit deeper into Tubav, and we put all of these events together, we can make the following, we can draw the following conclusion. Right? If all of these events seem to have a root in what happened in Tisha B'Av, right? Of things that happened in Tisha B'Av. The Gemara there tells us that there were 5 tragedies that happened in Tisha B'Av. The first one was that the decree was made at the time of the spies, at the times of the Meraglim, that all the Jews in the desert should die. And on Tu B'Av, that ended. So too, that on Tisha B'Av, the city of Beitar was captured and hundreds of thousands of Jews were killed. On Tu B'Av, we were allowed to bury these Jews. Right? On Tisha B'Av, 2 of the Beis Hamikdash were destroyed. 2 of the Beis Hamikdash were destroyed, and on Tu B'Av we were allowed to marry each other in the Shvatim. The Chazal tell us every time a Jew gets married, that's like building a small Beis Hamikdash. So as if 2 small Bati Mikdash were rebuilt. Yeah, by allowing Jews to marry each other, it's as if there was in Bazer Ampin, in miniature, we're allowing the Beis Hamikdash to be rebuilt to a certain extent. And finally, on Tisha B'Av, the city of Yerushalayim was plowed over, right? And on Tu B'Av, the city of Yerushalayim was released, that we could come back to serve Hashem when the roadblocks of Yerovam ben Nevat were lifted off. The 5 events that happened on Tisha B'Av parallel the 5 events that happened in Tu B'Av were the tikkun, were the rectification of the 5 events that happened in Tu B'Av, right? And this is a very, very important lesson for us in the Gullus. Right? Once we've gotten to Gullus, when we had right here at the coastal, we had 10 open miracles every single day. That was the Shekhinah. We saw Hashem. We witnessed Hashem. We lived with Hashem. That's called living with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's called the Shekhinah. But when you go into Gullus, you don't have the Shekhinah anymore. You don't have a clear recognition. It's not Shochein anymore. It's not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is dwelling in our presence. Yeah. But what do you have? You have Hashgacha Pratis. We have Mina Keneged Mina, measure for measure. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does things to show us that He's still with us. Right? He declared that the people in the desert should die, and he stopped it. He declared that the hundreds of thousands of people should be killed in Beitar, but he let us be buried. Miraculously, the bodies were still intact, etc. The consolation of Tu B'Av is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there behind all the difficulties that happen. Even though each and every one of these tragedies that happened on Tisha B'Av were terrible tragedies, the destruction of Beis Hamikdash, the flying over Yerushalayim, the decree in the Midbar, and the destruction of Beitar and the massive killing that took place. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed us on Tu B'Av that He's still there with us, just like He showed Yosef Atzadik when He took him up to Mitzrayim. There was, instead of tar in the wagons, there was perfume. He showed him, that was a little hint. That was Hashem's a wink, as it were. Hashem smiled to Yosef that I'm still here with you in the Galus. Right? And this is the bracha that we make in Birkas Hamazon, the 4th bracha of Atova Meitiv. Atova Meitiv we make over remembering the fact that the dead of Beitar remained intact and we were allowed to bury them. And I once heard a question from Rav Zev Leff. He said, that's something to make a Tova Meitiv on? And the answer is yes. In the Gullus, we don't see Hashem's open presence. We see Hashem in hidden ways. Hashem showing us that He's still here with us. And this is the consolation of Tu B'Av. And this is why Tu B'Av is exactly 7 days in a normal calendar year after Tisha B'Av. It's getting up from the morning. When you get up from the morning, you have a new perspective of life, you have a new perspective of things. You've received a lot of consolation, hopefully, over the days from people who know how to give proper nechama. And if we properly if we properly console ourselves, then for the rest of the year, we go into Elul and the rest of Av and Elul as we come to Rosh Hashanah, Seres Meitshuva, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, then we'll have the right perspective of life. Hashem should help us, give us great siyat Shmaya, that we should use the Yontif of Tu B'Av. It should really be a joyous day. It should go back to be a joyous day on the Jewish calendar. And we should find the deeper meaning of Tu B'Av, and each and every one of us should have true consolation amongst the mourners of Yerushalayim. Amen.